Hey everyone, welcome back and welcome in if you're new. My name is Kay and today's swatch sesh features Sylvanclaw's Succulent Garden collection, which they sent over to me as PR. This is a pretty big set. We have 8 nail polishes to swatch today, and since they are inspired by this garden theme, you can expect a lot of vibrancy in the color and a lot of cool special effects. But let's get into the sesh, let's swatch them out, let's check them out, and then I'll be back to share some of my thoughts. Toxic Barb. We are kicking off the sesh with Toxic Barb, which to me is the most interesting shade of this 8-piece collection. Starting from the ground up, we have a very warm tone purple base in a jelly formula that is generously fed with shattered holographic glitters and a shimmer that shifts from teal to blue. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, shattered glitters means that the shape is irregular, somewhat similar to shards in a way, but much smaller and delicate. As you can see in my end result, though, that shattered shape is not really something that you're gonna easily notice. What you will notice though is that toxic sparkle, because that green with the almost pinky purple is definitely giving off a toxic or poisonous color scheme, and they look so good together. Pebble Path. Moving on to Pebble Path, which I would say is one of the 2 more subtle or gentle shades that this collection offers. And I just feel like the universe continues to answer my yearning for smoky purples, because that's exactly what we have here. A lavender gray base with purple shimmer, blessed with a little hollow kiss. Let's talk about that hollow though, because it is such a delicate scattering that the camera isn't picking up much of it, but under indirect lighting, you can see that there's a shift to somewhat of a soft orange tone. Overall though, I do see this as the shade that really helps to ground this very colorful collection. Koi Pond. Next up is our first thermal. We do have a total of 3 thermals in this collection, and Koi Pond is the blue of the bunch. It won't stay blue for too long though, because although we're starting off in the cold state, it completely transforms when warm. Aside from that, we do have nicely sized iridescent flakies and a little scatter of hollow. At this point, I am finalizing that second and last coat before moving on to some girl science. Here I have some hot water to my left, which triggers that milky white color, which still serves as a great canvas for those fiery flakies. And to my right, I have cold water, which will turn the polish back to blue. Overall, I think this is such a clever way to translate the idea of a koi pond, because koi fish have that fiery orange color, so it basically looks like you have a little koi pond on your nails. Honestly, Sylvanclaw did so good with this interpretation. This is very cute. Variegation. So we're frolicking through the garden and notice the beautiful variegation on a philodendron Brazil. This is what this polish reminded me of. RIP to mines though, we won't discuss that here. But we're starting off in the cold state, which is a true green color. And as I do that, you might be catching glimpses of those purple shimmers scattered throughout. I should also mention that this is a jelly formula, so be wary of the sheerness. Before we head to the lab though, notice how those shimmers shift into somewhat of a golden color. Now here I have my hot water, which I'm dipping into first, which will variegate my nail and bring out a very yellow leaning green, like a lemon with just a tinge of green. That's what we have here. Imagine if I could make vertical thermal lines so I could really turn my nails into philodendron leaves. Yeah, really all I'm gonna make is a mess. And with Variegation Swatch, let's check out the next polish, which I am pretty darn excited for. In Bloom. This is a polish that made me go when I first saw it, even though we don't have a whole lot going on. Starting from the ground up, what we have is a red jelly base that is pretty generously topped off with those shattered holographic glitters And I'm just going for 2 coats here, folks, because I rely heavily on visible nail line for a healthy dose of daily dopamine, so I don't want to pack on the layers. Now, my end result here does have glitter grabber, and I literally love everything about this. The jelly base, the color, the glitters, it's just so lively. And personally, I'd say all of these factors together are truly reminiscent of a flower, which seems to be the inspiration behind this polish. Ground cover. Moving on to the second green polish of the collection, we start off with a sheer chartreuse base loaded with shimmer, color shifting flakies that seem to change between greens, golds, and pinks. We also have iridescent glitter. A pretty solid team, in my opinion, if sparkle is what you're after. Now, this looks particularly yellow on my skin tone, right? I wish it leaned a bit more green, but maybe a 3rd coat will help me get there. Either way, I find this one to be extremely refreshing. It is these types of greens that I see as being the essence of spring. The color just carries this zing to it that I feel is very fitting for the season. String of hearts. This next polish is as delicate and as sweet as the plant that it's named after, and it is the 3rd and last thermal of this collection. We start off in the Code state, which I would describe as somewhat of a salmon color. We're also seeing those pretty iridescent flakies, which are actually multicolored, paired with a touch of scattered holo. Now, moving on to the thermal test, hot water is going to turn this polish into a very light, almost white pastel pink color, and while I think both colors are cute, it also seems like they're not different enough to create a very strong contrast. Although I do suspect the brand intended it to be this way, since a variegated string of hearts does carry these colors, so just keep that in mind. The thermal colors here are not going to be anywhere near as contrasty as they were in the other 2 thermals. Holo Rain. No doubt this collection got an extra dash of flavor with the addition of this nail seasoning, which seems to have a total of 3 herbs and spices, which I am gonna plate up for you. We have silver holographic hex glitters on the menu, silver holo bar glitters, and scattered holo, all in a clear base. You can see how all of these combine on my nail plate, and I also added a clip so you can see it worn as a topper over Pebble Path. I found there was a nice release of glitters throughout my nail, but the holo bars held their ground a little bit more, which I personally expected. Overall though, I really dig the addition of this shade. It does feel like the cherry on top on a collection that is inspired by a garden after all. And that was the Sesh soap. Clearly, I think that this collection is no transition from winter into spring. This is more like full-on spring energy, maybe with the exception of Pebble Path, which does have some winter vibes, but aside from that one, all you're really getting is fresh, lively spring energy. And we're also getting a nice mix of finishes. We do have the thermals, we do have the glitter leaning ones, we have Pebble Path, which is shimmery. We also have ground cover covering the flaky territory. And of course, we have our little nail seasoning. So I don't really have any pruglies. I mean, if I were to be super critical, then I would have loved to have seen a stronger contrast between the string of hearts colors. Still, you guys, I really think that what Sylvanclaw was after is the variegation in an actual string of hearts plant. And if that is what they're after, they actually nailed it. They did a great job. Trust me, I checked. I have a variegated string of hearts that is alive and well for now. But if you like the collection, it is available now on the Sylvanclaw website. And if you had money for just one polish, I would rapidly go for In Bloom. If you had money for 2, I would add in Pebble Path, of course. And if you had money for 3, I would go with the Toxic Little Barbie because it is a cute shade. I like the contrast between that purpley, pink, and green stuff in there. So that is gonna be it for today's sesh. Thank you so much for the hang. Thank you so much for checking out this really colorful collection that we have here. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching so much. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.